Hi, my sister asked me to do a makeup tutorial on the look that we did for the Awakening the Body poster, and the Awakening the Body is really a Butoh and body weather performance that's being held by Monash University. So the makeup look was very dramatic theatre based, and it was basically inspired by a moth coming out of a cocoon, and the makeup is very dramatic and probably not for every day. So the model we're using is Natalie Lovett, who's the same model that we used for the poster. Hope you enjoy.
So we're starting off just wiping the face clean of bacteria and any excess oil. And then going in with a very rich moisturiser just to prep the skin. We're using a moisturiser called DermaVeen, which is actually for sensitive skin. And then gluing down the eyebrows with some UHU glue. Make sure you glue upwards so that it sticks. And also wiping any excess away around the eyes. The foundation that we used was Illamasqua Rich Liquid, which is a very, very pigmented, very full coverage foundation. We work from the centre of the face outwards in thin layers. However, it's important that we do have a very full coverage by the end of this because it is theatre makeup. This is just the initial layer down the neck and around the ears, and we'll be stippling and buffing in very soon. There I am buffing the foundation in with a Real Techniques buffing brush. I'm using little stippling motions just to make sure there's no brush strokes and getting a very smooth, even surface. I'm also blocking out the eyebrows with more foundation. And taking it just underneath the eye area where you get a little bit of skin still peeking through. And just to ensure that it's completely white, we're using a medium pencil by Illamasqua just on top of the lash line and inside the eye. The initial wash of colour we used was Maybelline Colour Tattoo in a taupey shade. And working that all over the eyes and also up over the brows towards the hairline in a very angular cat-like shape. But remember that this look was inspired by Moth, so the colours are very neutral, very greyish brownish. This doesn't need to be neat, it can be rough, we're going to blend it out anyway. And just putting that intense pigment on top and blending it out with a 217 brush. Gel liner I used was Maybelline. It's a very good smooth liner, and just applying that on the top lash line and wing it out very, very far all the way past the brow. In small strokes you can create such a very thick line if you slowly build up. This is very much inspired by Japanese theatre, so it's very, very dramatic, and we're working all the way up towards the socket, and it doesn't need to be neat because we're going to blend it out with our blending colour, which is Incubus by Illamasqua. Just blending out on the top of the liner that we've put on, using a Real Techniques Space Shadow brush, and extending that out. Doesn't need to be neat as well, just because this look isn't necessarily perfect. I'm always working outwards. I want the colour to be intense towards the lash line, but I want it to extend outwards towards the hairline. And just make sure you blend really well. Keep blending, going in and blending and applying and blending. To warm up the eye look, we're using Satin Taupe by MAC and just pressing that on top of the Incubus and the liner that we've put on. And then just blending that outwards as well. Using Avon Super Shock liner just on the top lash line and also inside the eye and tight lining to get a very intense black. And blending outwards with my dirty 217 brush. I'm using a sleek palette here just for the matte black colour, which is a very good black colour. And just putting that along the lashes as well. And then just clean up if there's any fallout underneath the eyes and around the foundation. We're applying a bit of mascara now, not that we need a lot of it, we just need something for the falsies to cling on to. And using some setting powder by Illamasqua in the white shade. Going back to the Incubus by Illamasqua, we're using this greyish charcoal shade to contour. Nothing too warm because it is a very pale white foundation, so we want the contour to be subtle but not too warm. And then just contouring the nose as well. I'm filling in a false brow here. We're doing a very arched, almost medieval Chinese brow. I drew a rough line and then just arched outwards to mimic a moth's antennas. And then just putting a bit of texture through that with a bit of eyeshadow. We're using a nude lipstick. The one we used was David Jones Nougat. It's just a peachy nude shade. But remembering to keep the focus on the eyes. Putting the lashes on now. These lashes have been stuck on with some false feathers that you can get from any arts and crafts store. And now applying the wings. These are just the cardboard cutouts of a moth's wings, and attaching them on with some duo glue. Make sure you hold onto that for maybe about 15 seconds to allow the glue to dry, or even longer. And not to forget the bottom wings as well. You need a little flap just where you attach the wings so that it can actually have something to adhere the duo glue to the skin. Lastly, we're using some false lashes underneath the eyes as well. And that's the finished look. So if you're in Melbourne, please come along and support the show. It's called Awakening the Body. It's held at Monash University Clayton, and the dates are shown on this poster. Hope to see you there.